In this video, I'm going to cover how to find good sources for research projects using our Front Range Community College library system. So first of all, if you go to the Front Range Community College website, you can go to campuses, and then on that screen you'll find a bunch of stuff including libraries, so you can click Find a Library. And if you're part of Larimer campus, we're associated with the City of Fort Collins Library. So in order to use the library there, come down here to this Don't Have a Library Card. You have to have a library card in order to use the databases that are hosted by the City of Fort Collins Library. And so you can do that. It's free. If you're a resident, you can take in proof of address and get yourself a library card. Or since you're a Front Range student, you can associate your Wolf card with the library. So what you need to do there is just get a Wolf card, which is a student ID, take it into the library on campus and have them associate your Wolf card with a library account. And so they'll use the serial number on your Wolf card for that account, not your S number. So once you have that, come back to this page and let's go look through the library. So if we want to come down here to library catalog, hit search our catalog. Takes you to the Fort Collins Library website, which is really called the Poudre River Public Library District. Now, lots of stuff in here. I like this research tab. And within the research tab, there's a lot of choices, including a lot of databases. And databases are a way of storing articles from a wide variety of sources in one place. And so libraries often pay for one database for access to whatever that database has. And journals will be on multiple databases. So then you need to select the database that is pertinent to what you're studying. The library kind of lumps them here. So if I click on science and technology, I'll get a bunch of different databases that all have articles on science and technology. Now I have found that JSTOR is a really great one for some of our stuff. This Greenfile EBSCO is probably also pretty good, although I haven't played with it too much. Environment Complete might also work. And then down here, Science Reference Center, EBSCO, is also really good. I'm actually going to start up here in this Greenfile. So if I click on that, it takes me to a place where I can search for things. Now, I want to point out basic search is fine, but it will produce a lot of results and not all of them will be things that you're looking for. So I want to go to advanced search and show you what you could do there. Let's say I want to look at the effect of fire on wildlife species. So I type in fire and I leave this as select a field. I just hit search. And look what happens. It comes up with 14,000 results on fire. Well, I don't have time to go through all of that, so I might want to think of a way to kind of narrow that down a little bit so I can get stuff that's more relevant. So what if I'm studying maybe fire in Alaska and I happen to know that black spruce is a commonly burned forest type in Alaska, and so I go ahead and put that in and I click search. And then I only get 196 options. Well, that's better. It might still be a whole lot for me to go through. So let's say, well, I want to know how they affect wildlife. So I'm going to put that word in too. What this is saying now is that I want to look for the word fire to show up somewhere, and black spruce and wildlife. So it really reduces the number of hits that I may get. Now I'm down to 22. And if I start going through and reading my headings, I can say, all right, are any of these relevant to what I want to look at? Examining forest resilience to changing fire frequency in a fire-prone region of the boreal forest. That sounds really interesting. But before I click into that, I want to show you a couple more things about the search option here. I can limit my search to being just scholarly, or what I refer to as peer-reviewed journals. So if I select that, it's going to say, okay, I'm going to narrow down what I found and only show you things that are peer-reviewed. This is a common problem of students, is not knowing whether or not their source is peer-reviewed. You can let the computer do that for you. This will eliminate magazine sources, newspaper sources, encyclopedia sources, book sources, anything that didn't come from a peer-reviewed journal. Okay, so if I do that, It looks like that first one is still there, and I thought that sounded like a good article, so I'm going to click on it. And then what will come up is the abstract, and an abstract is a summary of the paper. So I can read that abstract and decide if I think that article is worth my time to read for whatever question I'm asking in my research project. If it is, then I want to find a way to save it and be able to come back to it. And so this is where it gets tricky. Some articles in each database are going to be available as a full text PDF article. This one does not seem to be, and I'll show you in a minute how to tell if it is, but if I don't see any PDF icon, I know it might not be. But that's okay, because I might be able to find it elsewhere. So I need to pay attention to that. Well, let's say I think I'm going to use this, so I want to export the reference for this. Now, I don't want to have to go in and figure out how to write every citation that I have to write. If I look over here on the right side of my screen, I see I have a choice called Cite. Now, what this will do is it'll say, okay, here's all your formats. If I scroll through here, depending on what your instructor wants, here's all the formats for how you would cite this article. Oftentimes I ask for mine to be an APA or Chicago. I like both. What I could do is just copy and paste this to a Word document that I'm working on and put it directly into my Word document. That's one option, and it's a good option, but there's a better option out there, and that is this: export to a bibliographic management software. There are so many free resources out there that can help us with our citations. It's amazing. So this screen comes up. I'm going to click this Direct Export to EndNote Web. And in order to do that, I will click Save, and it's going to open a new website called EndNote. EndNote is a really great free place to store all my references. So I've made an account here, and if I hadn't, it would come up with, would you like to make an account? And I suggest doing that. Once you've made an account, you can go here to My References, and it looks like I've exported this twice, no big deal. I'm just playing around with this, and to clear it up, I will delete that one. So I have the article that I just exported right here, and I could click on it and make sure that that is indeed the article that I wanted to use. Yep, that looks great. And so what I have here is a list of everything I've exported. As I go through my library's database and export different resources, it can put them all here in one place. And the other thing I can do over here is add it to a group. So if I want to have a group for every class I'm currently researching, I could have a class for fire ecology, I could have a class for wildlife management, or maybe it's a history class. I would select that and I would create maybe a new group, and I'd say wildlife management. And it, for whatever papers I'm working on for wildlife management, it would put this article in that course as well. So then, and it looks the same right now because I only have one in here, I can keep track of which references I'm using on which paper, and they're all in one place. It's really helpful. Now, the other reason for using EndNote is because you can add what's called a plugin into your Word, your Microsoft Word, and as you type, you can import references directly into your paper once you've added the EndNote plugin. Now I'm going to save how to do that for a different day, but if you want to figure it out on your own, you just come up here to Cite While You Write, go to Organize, go to Format, go to Cite While You Write plugin, and follow the directions for downloading it into your Microsoft Word. Okay, let's go back to the library and say, all right, well, this one didn't have a full text PDF, so what do I do? Well, one easy thing you can do is just see if it's available online. Oftentimes they're not, because they're through journals that you have to subscribe to, but we might get lucky. So if I go to a new website and I type this in, I can say, oh, look at this. If I scroll down, here's a PDF. Here's the actual paper available online, and I can download it, save it to my folder, and read it later when I'm ready to review it. So that's lucky, because oftentimes you can't find the full article online. What you would need to do then is to take that title and check a different database on the library. So remember, we're in that green file. Maybe we go into all data, or we plug it into somewhere else and we see if we can find this article in another database. It may be available on full text. Okay, if I go back to my search history though, I can scroll down here and see if an article does have a full text journal. You may get something like this: Taiga Ecosystems in Interior Alaska. Here's the HTML full text and here's the PDF full text. And so when full text is available, you'll see these articles or these icons show up. Interactive effects of fire, soil, climate, and moss in black spruce ecosystems. If I click on that, instead of just giving me the abstract, it'll give me the entire article, and I can download it here and save it. Okay, I want to go back and show you one other thing if I'm searching and how to use the search tools. Now there's one thing, if we just typed in fire, remember we came up with a ton of answers, 3,000 just in fire. Wait, it was more. We came up with 12,000. All right, so I could do fire and I could select a field and say I want only things that show up with fire in the title, and that might limit it quite a bit more. But maybe I don't need fire in the title, I need fire in a keyword, and the author supplied keywords might be the right way to search. And so that limits it down to 3,000. Okay, the other thing here is to say, all right, possibly I want either fire or forest. Now it's probably going to give me a huge result. But if I said fire or forest, I will probably increase my responses. And I say, do I want forest in just the keywords? Sure. So if I have them in either of those, I'm up to 20,000. So if I need to expand my search, I could say I want to use that word or instead of and. If I want to use the word not, for example, if I'm searching for something about links and I don't want something related to a vehicle or an airplane or something, I can click not and I could put car, or I could put airplane or something like that in there, and it will like throw out anything that's irrelevant. And also make sure you are searching by whether or not it's just a journal or anything. So that's one way of limiting your searches as well. Or if I wanted links, but I didn't want anything about links in Canada because I wanted to focus on the lower 48, I could search and go, oh wait, Central Europe, I don't want Central Europe, so I'm going to take out Europe and Canada and see what comes up. Then I should probably be focusing on, oh, Iberian, we don't want that either. But you can then, you get the point, you can limit your searches. One last thing to point out here is that you can search by only things that have full text. I caution you against doing that because you might miss some really good articles that you can easily find in full text. Okay, this was a quick and dirty on how to use the library websites. Remember, this was just one database. There's many databases and they all have access to different journals.